Hello, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Encouraged Overcomer podcast. If you're a high achiever and you're doing all the things, but you still feel like you're hitting a wall, you feel like you're not quite where you want to be, then this episode is for you. In the episodes prior to this, we talked about the You Were Made series. You were made to create, not just consume. You were made to be great, not mediocre. And today's message is you were made for more. And you might be thinking, how am I made for more when I'm already doing everything I can possibly do? I seriously have nothing left in the tank. Well, we're going to talk about that today. And I am going to take you into a little bit of my life, and I'm also going to share with you a tool to help you step into the more of your life, that exceedingly abundantly above all that you ask or think life. So stay tuned. Have you ever been in a position where you thought, why me? Why am I going through this dark season or this season where there's just no fruit? I'm not seeing anything after all of the work that I've been doing. I've been there. It was just a few years ago when I was sitting on the carpeted floor in my small 2-bedroom apartment, crying my eyes out. And this is after I was just paying all my bills. I was a single mom taking care of me and my daughter. I was reading my Bible. I was praying. I had just moved from another state to take a job, making more money than I had ever made in my life. So why was I crying? Well, I was crying because I had just gone through a bad breakup. And it was with the one that I told everyone was the one. And he ghosted me. It wasn't Casper, the friendly ghost. I mean, he was gone. And I thought this would be the opportunity to start my new life. And I felt like I had taken all the steps and I felt like I was doing all the things. And then I was faced with this situation. As I sat there on the floor in my self-pity, I was going through some old photos. And I came across a photo of my daughter. And here's what happened that day. She was 1 year old at the time. Now she's 13, by the way. And I was at home doing my mommy things, and she was playing nearby. And she was really quiet, and I couldn't hear what she was doing. So I turned around, and when I looked at her, she had ripped open the cabinet and she was pulling things out from underneath the cabinet. And all I could think of was, oh my goodness, she is going to drink bleach. I grabbed her and moved her away from the cabinet, and I put the things back and I shut the door, the cabinet door. And I thought, okay, no. I said no in my firm voice. I thought that was that. You are probably already ahead of me because you know that was not that. And in fact, I went and bought a child lock because she kept getting underneath the cabinet. She was persistent, even though I tried to distract her. I tried to take her away from it. I tried to give her other things. I tried to dissuade her from that area. She kept going back no matter what. She was determined. And so I went and got a child lock. And it was no time that had passed when I was cleaning or cooking again, and it got quiet. And when I turned around, she had already ripped the child lock off, and she was sitting in the bottom of the cabinet like it was a seat with a mischievous smile on her face and a potato masher in her hand. She was just looking at me with those little eyes, and I just looked at her and I smiled. And that's when I captured the picture. Now, I want to take you back to where I was sitting on the floor in my apartment crying. And when I came across this photo of my little girl, it was as though she was looking at me with those innocent little eyes and saying to me, "Mommy, persist." I say that to share this. You might not have a bedroom floor moment where you went through a bad breakup. Maybe you have. But maybe your bedroom floor moment is when you just feel like every time you take a step forward in life, you're pushed two steps back. You feel like when you try to get those people out of your life that keep coming back to try to pull you down, they somehow find you. When you're trying to live a life of peace and drama and trauma keeps seeking you out. Your bedroom floor moment could be that you're struggling with debt and your finances, and every single time you turn around, it's just like, here comes one bill after another, and the creditors are calling, and you're like, I know I made for more, and you're trying to believe in your dream and what God has for you, but your reality is showing you everything else that's different, opposite. So how can you go through these things and still have more to give? I would like to present something to you that maybe the thing that you're going through isn't meant to destroy you, but it's meant to build you. And if instead of cowering away from that thing and trying to run, you face it, that is when the breakthroughs happen and your next level is closer than you think. You were made for more. You were made to persist when things get hard. You were made to persist when things seem impossible. When your health is crazy and you're not sure what's going on, or there's someone in your family who is going through health problems and you just don't have the answers. You were made for more. Life is going to have curveballs that are thrown at you that you're just not sure how to navigate. But if you lean in, that thing won't consume you. It will be the very thing that God uses for your story and his glory. I want you to think of the tough time that you're going through like a fire. And I have a story that it just comes to mind because today I went to church and the pastor was talking about how, he liked Hibachi Grill and how they'll take the onion tower and light it with the fire. And it's like everyone's trying to get away from the fire and lean back so they don't get burnt. And I thought about my days as a waitress. I was working for a Greek restaurant, and if you've ever been to a Greek restaurant, they have this thing that's called saganaki. It is flaming cheese, and it's you take the cheese. There's a skillet that the cooks will put on the fire and get it really, 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 really hot, and the cheese is cooking in the skillet, and then they would put it on a tray, and you'd have to go out quick so that it was really, really hot. And then you would have a shot glass of brandy and pour the brandy on top of the cheese, and it would create this huge flame. And when that happened, everybody would say, "Oppa!" and they would clap their hands. Now, I called myself the Saganaki queen because I'm that person that's a little bit extra with everything. And of course, I was an overachiever. Everybody wanted me to do the Saganaki. Like, what could I say? So I remember one time I go and I get the Saganaki and I'm coming to this table, and this table ordered Saganaki after Saganaki after Saganaki. They just wanted the show. And of course, because I was really loud and I was into it, it made it even better. I was feeling great. Now, by the fifth one, I was toning down a little bit. Let's just say my energy was kind of like, okay, opa. I wasn't as excited. Well, I went to get the Saganaki, came to the table, and I lit the cheese with a lighter, and I forgot one thing. I forgot to pull the hot skillet away from my face. So when I went whoop and lit the cheese, the flame came up into my face. And of course, at that point, I backed up. I thought, oh my goodness. And I still said, "Whoop-ah," really loud. But something didn't feel right. And when I dropped off that cheese, I was I was just worried. In fact, something didn't smell right. I wasn't sure what was going on, but I smelled burning hair. And when I went like this to wipe my face, because I just felt like it touched my face or something, like I had something on my face, I had burned my eyelashes, my eyebrows, and the hairs on my hand. Now, whew, sometimes that fire is unavoidable in your life, just like me. And sometimes you'll get it right. And sometimes, you will have the aftermath that you've been in the fire. But the amazing thing is that the fire of God is not meant to consume you. It's not meant to destroy you. It is meant to build you. It is meant to turn you into the person that God created you to be. It's meant for you to build experience and capacity so that you can help the people that you're meant to help. That's the exciting thing about this. And it doesn't feel good when you're in the fire. When you're in the fire, it's hot. The Takamaki fire was hot. And sometimes when you're in a fire, you're like me. I was pretending like nothing happened because I was too prideful. I didn't want anyone to know what I was going through. And sometimes you don't want your problems, other people to feel like you have pity on yourself. And so sometimes it's best not to tell people, but you are just trying to like get through it. And you're like, okay, maybe it's going to be done. And then the next time you turn around, it's like, oh my goodness, here comes another thing after another thing after another thing. And that is the fire. And that day when I was sitting there crying, it was my fire. I don't know what your fire is. You know what your fire is. That is between you and God. And not everything's a fire. Sometimes things are our own doing, but then there's grace. And that's where God steps in. And so that's for you to identify. Is if you are in that season where it feels like you are in the fire and you're just like, I don't know, I'm struggling to understand, then understand this, that God has plans for your future and plans for you to prosper. And you have the answer to someone else's problem. You have the solution. And the more you sit and just let what's happening to you take over your life, the more you are delaying the refining process. It's interesting when things are going great and you're just pumped. You're like, yes, cha-ching, I got a new car, got a new job, I'm in a new relationship, I'm paying my bills, I got a new check, a check where I didn't expect the money to come from. Like you're feeling good. And during that time, that's the time to get ready. Get ready. That's the time to sow your seed. Because a day will come where you will reap what you sow. And if you're just letting life happen to you and just like all the good things, this is wonderful and all this, and then you're not taking a moment to pause and saying, okay, how can I take this and sow something from this for my future? The good things that God blesses you with. And then instead of being a good steward to it, you just think, oh, it's for me to just, it's for me. I deserve this. I deserve this. You're telling yourself these things instead of utilizing the things that God has given you as a tool for your next season. You see, there are different seasons that you're going to go through in life. There's your spring season where the flowers are blooming. It seems like, wow, everything's going well. Summer, where it's just showers of blessings. And you feel good and you feel like you're in alignment with your purpose and you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then the fall comes. And in that fall season, things start to slow down. You start to see some of the things in your life fall apart. You're wondering what is happening. And those things have to fall in order for new life to come. And then in life, there's winter. And in winter, it just seems like it's gloomy. It just seems harsh. And you wonder why you're going through what you're going through. But if you stay the course, if you faint not, you will reap your reward. Because you might be in winter season, but it doesn't last forever. Eventually, the spring will come again and the summer will come again. and you will go through the cycles. But if you lean into what is in your life, what is God trying to teach you in this moment, it is going to do so much more for you than sitting in it and resisting it and saying, no, I don't want this fire in my life. I can't take this. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. Because greater is he that is in you than he that is in the world. You were created in his image. So remember, when things start to feel tough or when they feel dead, they feel like, is God there? Does he see me? Is he around? Does he know me? Does he care? Yes, God is still there. And yes, he does care. I love the verse, cast your cares upon him, for he careth for you. Let that be your reminder when you're going through this time of stretching and pulling and burning, that you will get through this because you are made for more. So when it feels like you're doing the right things and there is nothing to show for it, there is no fruit of your labor, you're asking yourself, what's the point? Keep going. Because you're so much closer than you think. You were made for more. You might not see that in front of you right now, but it's there. And you might not think you have the capacity for more, but this isn't the more where you have to take on more things. It's the more from God. It's the more of aligned action. It's the more of the fruit of your labor. It's the more of God's love. It's the more of God's grace. And it's the less of anxiety, less burnout, less confusion, less being busy just to be busy. You were made for more. That day that I was sitting there, I had to gather myself because my daughter reminded me that I was made for more. She reminded me that my calling was bigger than my comfort. Your calling is bigger than your comfort. And if you persist, and not persist just hitting walls and just being defiant and just doing your own thing, but if you lean in and you keep moving through the flames, no matter how slow, no matter how much it burns and it hurts. And before you know it, look around and see that the fire's no longer there. And that's because God was building that fire inside you. to make you stronger, to make you walk out as pure gold. This doesn't mean that you're going to be perfect in life. This doesn't mean that everything's going to be rainbows and sunshines. It means that when you take the calling, you answer the calling for more from God, you're not only going to have capacity, but your cup is going to be overflowing. And when you have overflow, you have more to give, more love, more time, more freedom, more blessings, more abundance, more strength to go through the dark times again and again and again and again. You weren't made to sit in your comfort. You might be asking yourself, like, but why do I have to go through this? No, everyone's fire is different. Everyone's fire. And back then when I was going through it, and I'm not saying I haven't gone through fires since, when I was going through that time in my life where I just felt like I just couldn't go on, I wish I had somebody tell me what I'm telling you right now, that this too shall pass. That nothing can beat the overcomer. If someone told me that just a few years later, I would be starting my life again and just have new beginnings and have a loving relationship and have a place where I feel accepted and just supported, and that dark season that I was going through and that relationship that I was trying to force wasn't for me, and that there was something out there for me, then I don't I don't know what I would think. If I could tell myself back then what I know now, I don't think I would have stayed in that headspace very long. It wouldn't have taken me as long as it did to recover from the setback. And that's what I want to help you to do, is to recover from the setbacks, because life is short and we do not have time. We do not have time to sit here and wallow over the things that we wish would happen or could have, should have, would have. We don't have the time. The clock is ticking. There are people to reach. Because when you are in abundance and you're in overflow, that means you're not just keeping all the good things for yourself. You are sharing it with other people. You're showing them what you learned and what now you know, so that they can go and help someone else. And that person can go and help someone else. Each one teach one. It's not just about you going through these things in life and just, well, I guess I'm just a pawn. in this game. No, you have a purpose and you were made for more. So here's what I'm going to do. I am going to put a link in the description for something that I call the More Map. And it is a step-by-step guide to help you get to your next level. And it's going to help you identify your fire and what that thing is. It's going to help you to find out what your limiting beliefs are and how to combat that so that you can lean in to the voice of God instead of the voice of the people around you, or the voice in your own head, your inner voice. And I pray that this tool will be a blessing for you. And it's something that I wish I had 3 years ago. And it would have helped me to understand a little bit that about, the time and the season that I was going through. And also helped me to realize that I was made for more. That I'm not meant to be stronger in my own strength. I mean, stronger in the strength and the confidence of God. Because that is indestructible. I think of when Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were in the fiery furnace. And they were walking in the fire. They knew that God would take care of them, that they served the true and living God. And when the people looked into the furnace, into like the fire, the flames, they didn't see 3 people, they saw 4 because Jesus was walking beside them all along the way. You are not alone. Jesus is standing in that fire with you. And he has known brokenness and he has known pain. He knows what it is to walk through a season and have to face what is required. And you are made in God's image, and you were created to do the same. If you resonate with this, put some encouraging words in the comments for someone else who sees this video or hears this audio message. Let them know that they're loved. Let them know that God cares. And in the comments, I want you to put, you were made for more. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I am so grateful to live another day and just share just the great things that God has done in my life and also help other people to reach their dreams. I'm looking forward to the next time. I hope you have a great day, and above all else, stay encouraged.